go ahead and just watch this and see where it takes us.
Glaring hypocrisy when you have Republicans on the other side of the aisle trying to create definitions and say Rashida wants to annihilate people, when Max Miller himself went on TV and said we're turning Gaza into a parking lot and we want to annihilate Palestinians. Nobody condemned him on that side of the aisle. What is true here is that every single one of them has not acknowledged the fact that Palestinians are dying in the tens of thousands, but will continue to say it is us who are not acknowledging humanity. Rashida will stand strong.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
The movement will continue for liberation until every single Palestinian has the right to
Gentleman
live
from
in
Maryland
liberty.
is rec-
Ilhan Omar is about to get deported.
It's always so funny watching these politicians who are like listening to these people complain and yell and scream, and they're just like, yeah, your time's up, dude. And then they're like passionately screaming and they're like crying or doing something like that. It's like, hey, yeah, your time's up. If you could just, step down. We listen to you and we don't care, but also like have a good day. It's just so nonchalant and like dismissive. I think it's kind of funny, but it's also really messed up.
Back to Somalia. And no, I'm not joking. You see, about a week ago, Ilhan Omar got caught hosting online workshops in which she was instructing Somalian illegal immigrants inside of America on how to avoid getting deported by ICE.
That is a baller move. That is like actually really useful information if you're an illegal immigrant and you're trying not to get deported. There's literally someone out here giving you a step-by-step process on how not to get deported. That's probably illegal. I guess we'll find out.
And once again, no, I'm not joking. In fact, I wish I was. But you know what? Take a look at her defense as to why she was doing this.
Elon Musk, I want to see if you want to respond to him. He is actually singling you out on X. He retweeted a post that alleged you were telling Somalians who are illegally in the country how to avoid deportation. You do speak Somali in the clip, and the translation, according to the translation, it shows you telling people that if ICE attempts to question them, they are not obliged to answer those questions. I do not speak Somali, and I'm basing this on the translation that he retweeted here. And this is guidance that we have heard from many immigration advocates. But Musk says that you are, quote, breaking the law literally outright. Do you want to respond to that?
Well, it just shows you how much he lacks an understanding of what the laws of this country are. In the clip, it was an interview that I gave to a reporter. I'm not in that room, actually, that they pan out to. That is an edited video. And in the interview, I was asked, well, what I say to Somalis who are undocumented or who their documentations might have lapsed. And it is important for people to exercise their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent unless they feel confident.
So, yeah, she doesn't even deny that as a sitting member of Congress, she was advising and instructing illegal immigrants on how to avoid deportation.
Guys.
In fact, it really makes you question just where her loyalty really is, the United States of America or Somalia. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, you guys should take a look at this clip.
In caawa aan fursad u helay madaxweynaheena madaxweynaha Soomaaliya madaxweyne Xasan Sheikh Maxamuud inaan maanta ku soo dhaweyno Minneapolis.
Our president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud? Hey, Congresswoman Omar.
Yeah, I don't think if you're a congresswoman, you should be like saying that somebody else other than the United States president is your president. I think it's just kind of like given that that's the case, and you probably shouldn't say that shit. Can you impeach a senator? I don't know. How do we do this, guys? I don't know.
Exactly which country are you representing here? Because, folks, it sure seems to me like Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is a little bit more on the Somalia first side of things. But also, take a look at this. Somalian President Hassan Mohamud, that Ilhan Omar seems to love so much, isn't exactly the greatest guy. You see, about a decade ago, an international corruption court found him guilty of stealing tens of millions of dollars of relief money being sent from the U.S. to Somalia.
I heard about this. This was kind of a big deal, and nobody really cared because it's Africa, and really, honestly, nobody really cares about African politics. I mean, there was a huge effort to kind of like create a coalition similar to the European Union, but for like African countries, and a huge effort to be made towards that. And it just like, no one cared. Everybody was all like, we don't give a shit. And I think it's kind of sad.
He's also been found guilty of funding and arming the radical jihadist terrorist group Al-Shabaab, and he also has a penchant for silencing any Somalian media that doesn't support his regime. So pretty much he's a corrupt terrorist supporting authoritarian. I think that's fair to say. But regardless...
Yeah, but like, honestly, most of the dictators and the people in Africa that rule the different countries in Africa are like that. Like, that's kind of the par for the course. It's honestly pretty sad. It's the reason why a lot of the countries are so fucked up, is authoritarian regimes running their countries into the ground.
Regardless, Ilhan Omar loves him anyway. He's our great president. But hey, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's a little bit weird to consider that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has a little bit of a soft spot for authoritarian leaders, considering she said this just the other day.
We are witnessing a constitutional crisis. We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install...
Honestly, like, I guess she would know. She's plugged into politics. She's heavily probably knowledgeable about African politics. And a lot of the African politicians in there are corrupt, authoritarian dictators. So, I guess, like, let's see what you
call yourself as the sole power. That is how dictators are made.
So just to make sure I understand all of this, Trump is bad because he's a literal dictator, but the Somalian president who's executing members of the media, funding terrorist groups, and stealing humanitarian aid money, he's a great guy. This all seems just a little bit hypocritical. But okay, folks, what do you say we go ahead and move on to the main point of the video? Ilhan Omar is finally getting deported. But first, before we do, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But okay, here's where today's story gets a little bit crazy. You see, in response to Ilhan Omar aiding...
Let's see. Somalia is Muslim. She married her brother. How well would that be tolerated over there in Smomoland? Oh, well, it's not uncommon for people to marry their family members in other parts of the world. It's actually pretty common, and it's really weird to me, but I do not live there, and I do not judge. I guess you can marry whoever you want. She's still here, and she's calling for violence against our country because that's what's in right now, dog. As an American citizen, I went to see her taxes for the last 10 years. We all know that they're not going to do that. I agree with him 100%. If she loves her country and her president, go there. It's a fair point. That's a really fair point. Maybe she should go back.
And abetting illegal immigrants, Republican Congressman Brandon Gill posted, "We should have never let Ilhan Omar into our country, and America would be a better place if Ilhan Omar were deported back to Somalia." And you know what, guys? Do you even disagree with him?
Honestly, I do disagree that anybody gives a shit that she's here or that she has any power or control over pretty much anything. I think that nothing would change if she was deported. Nothing. I don't think she's nearly as important as people say she is.
Why don't you go down to the comments section and let me know? But okay, then Congressman Brandon Gills headed on over to CNN to give some further input.
Just want to follow up with this post that you had on X. You said that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, U.S. citizen, should be deported to her home country of Somalia. Omar became a naturalized citizen at 17.
About it. This is great.
Why did you do that?
He's smiling.
Listen, my colleague Ilhan Omar, she is an American citizen. She is a member of the House of Representatives. I didn't call for her to be deported, but I did say that America would be better off were she deported. I think that there is a serious...
He said, bitch, read my shit verbatim. I did not say that. And he's right. He didn't fucking say that.
Problem, particularly given after the past 4 years of open borders, of Democrats facilitating the invasion of our country by illegal aliens. My colleague Ilhan Omar was advising illegal alien Somalis on how to evade ICE detection. That is as un-American as you can possibly get. It's unbecoming of a congressperson.
What evidence?
And I absolutely
where are
think
you getting that from
disgusting.
specifically? Where are you getting that from specifically?
We have the audio of her doing that.
But do you think that
interview?
She is a duly elected member of Congress.
She has a duty
constituents
to uphold
put her
the
in
values
office
and customs of America,
you're
not to represent foreign illegal aliens who shouldn't be here to begin with. And I think that raises serious questions.
She is helping people understand what the laws are. But listen.
That raises serious. To whom is she most loyal? Illegal aliens, Somalis, or American citizens?
She's representing her
constituents. Legitimate question.
As a member of Congress. Congressman Brandon Gill, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate this conversation. I think it's really important.
So do I.
Just yesterday, Congressman Brandon Gill promoted a petition to arrest and deport Ilhan Omar back to Somalia.
He said, I'm going to make it happen. He says, I'm invoking change. He said, I'm going to file a petition. Let's arrest this girl and send her back to Somalia. Again, I don't think that it's going to change very much if she's not here anymore. It doesn't seem like she's making much of an impact in the first place. So, I mean, granted, it's a bad look for her. But still, she ain't making any changes. I don't give a fuck.
That's right. What that means is that the ball is finally in motion. Things are finally happening.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A.1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar...
See, the thing is that when you come into a country that isn't the majority of your constituents, or that doesn't kind of like have a majority that relates to you in that way as being like from America, because obviously she's a Muslim and we have a lot of Muslim people here, but not that many. Obviously, she herself is Somalian, and we do have plenty of people from Somalia here, but not that many. So what you're doing is you're siding with a minority group of people that isn't the majority at all. And so the majority of people will find that offensive, because as a congressperson, you should be representing everyone holistically, like everyone as a whole, including those groups, but not exclusively those groups. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to piss people off whenever you're focused solely on groups of people that are very small minorities instead of focusing on the holistic situations that are going on that affect everyone. Because honestly, like, people don't really care. They don't care about the Somalian president. They don't care about the Somalian immigrants. They don't care. They don't care about them. They don't. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. Maybe they should. Maybe everyone should care about everybody. But the majority of people, they also don't care about the majority of other people either. So they're like equally not caring about the Somalians as well as the dude who lives down the street that makes their food whenever they order Uber Eats. They equally don't care about these people. It's not malicious or anything. It's not evil. It's just they don't care at all about this cause that she's doing. So obviously you're going to piss these people off. Obviously you're going to piss off your constituents.
Assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. Whereas Representative Omar continued, for as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Whereas
I think she's quoting this girl, and this girl just talks too fucking much, man. Like, all this shit didn't need to be said. Again, I'm going back to my original argument, which is that, like, why does anybody give a shit about any of this stuff? And why would anybody care about Somalians who are dealing with struggles? Like, we don't even care about our neighbor dealing with struggles. We don't care about, like, our friends from high school that we don't talk to anymore and their struggles. We don't care about any of that. We know those people. I mean, like, maybe we should care, but, like, do we really? No, we don't.
These statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. True. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office. And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now,
I wonder if she's sitting in this congregation right now. I wonder if she's sitting there somewhere listening to these people just absolutely trash her. Maybe that was that photo of her crying earlier.
Be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar.
Censured. Okay. Idiot Eli is going to learn a word today. Censured. I wonder if I spelled that right. Censured. Censured. Express severe disapproval, especially in a formal statement. What does it mean if you're censured? Censure is a formal statement of disapproval in the form of a resolution that is adopted by majority vote. The term censure is not found in the Constitution, and the word does not have to appear in the resolution. So basically, it means nothing, and it doesn't matter at all. So it's like a slap on the wrist. So yeah, I guess there's that.
Forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
Sure.
And
so let that be a warning to everybody to, if you are a senator in the United States, to not give a shit about other countries over the United States. It's probably a good practice and principle, or else you'll get censured, aka slapped on the wrist, and nothing will come of it. Thank goodness that she doesn't have any real power to change anything anyways. Okay, that was a fun video, you guys. Yeah, not really. I'm sorry I made you all watch that. No, just kidding. Yeah, it was a pretty good one. It was a pretty good one. I think it was a little bit of clownery mixed with a little bit of fun and a little bit of stupidity, and that's exactly what we were here for.